Welcome to another edition of Around Town, where we focus in on the people and the places of your community. I'm Larry Seaman, your host. Today we're at Barnes & Nobles in Salem, New Hampshire, and with me as our guest is an author, and she has a lot more. That's why she is an author, is because there's a lot of her background that we'd like to talk about. This is Colonel Jill Morgenthaler.
Correct.
It's good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Could you give us an idea as to why you wrote this book and how did it come about?
Sure. In 1972, I became the first of 10 women to actually be selected for a 4-year scholarship in the Army ROTC and to train with men.
Right.
Until then, women were trained separately, were segregated. A lot of tough times in the 70s serving as a woman,
Right, sure.
and also great adventures through the 80s, 90s, 2000s. And one of the blessings about serving in the military is you're taught leadership at a very young age. And I realized in today's world, there's a real gap between when people become leaders and when they actually get an education.
Right.
So I wrote the book to fill that gap. And also some of the challenges women are facing are still relevant from what I faced in the 70s.
For sure. Give us some examples of the challenges that you had to deal with.
Well, when I was a young officer, men did not want to salute me because I was a woman.
Oh.
So, I mean, literally every day I would face somebody who would not want to salute me. And finally, I was stationed in Korea, second lieutenant, and I realized I needed to bring this to an end.
Right.
And so the next guy who did not salute me, I spent 5 minutes making him salute me over and over and over. And soon word spread, if you didn't salute Lieutenant Morgenthaler, half your life was gone.
Right.
And
You will be punished.
yes, so I did learn humor was a great weapon.
Okay, that's good. Why did you choose to go in the military?
My father was a Marine. Actually, I lived here in New Hampshire the year he was in Vietnam, and I knew I was not suitable for being a nurse or a teacher or a librarian, which seemed to be the only choices. And so when they opened up this experiment in the Army, my father came home from the Pentagon, told me about it, and I'm like, I can be like you? And he's like, yes. And it's like, wow, I can see the world, I can bring freedoms. So I am my father's daughter.
All right. So talk a little bit more about your father then.
My father was a career Marine officer. He served as a young officer in Korea during the war. And that was fun because my first assignment was in Korea. He ended up being a brigade commander. He was in Vietnam with the 1st Marine Division in '69.
Wow.
And that's when we lived here in New Hampshire. He went on to be a full colonel and a professor at the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island.
Right.
So it was cool because I didn't realize how much I'd learned from him until as an officer, when I faced situations, I knew how to deal with them. And everyone's like, how do you know? And I realized, oh, I was a sponge. I learned it from my dad.
Right, that's true.
Well, the Vietnam War was so harsh on not only our veterans, but also on the families.
Right.
When we moved to New England, we came there with our southern accents, and we were treated like we were stupid. And there were no other career Marine families there, so it was a very lonely time. And I watched society turn against my father when he came home. I remember him going to Boston. I was with him, and people spitting on him because he was in his uniform.
Yeah, that's too bad.
The day that turned around was 9/11. The day after 9/11, I showed up at my son's school. I was in uniform, and kids just flooded out of the classrooms for my autograph. And I thought, well, we're heroes again.
That's good. There was something about Hussein.
Saddam Hussein, yes. When I was in Iraq in 2004, I was responsible for all the public affairs for the commanding general, and one of those was the international media coverage of Saddam Hussein's trial. So I did get to meet him. He did not know I was military. I was actually in civilian clothes, and when he came out of the courtroom, he saw me there. He looked at me like I was just a dumb blonde bimbo.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, no, I'm a colonel.
Yeah, right.
So I stared right back at him. And he ordered the guards to kill me.
Oh, really?
Yes, and the guards and I just broke out laughing. It's like, oh, dude, you forgot where you are today.
Oh, son of a gun. Wow.
And it was cool because by hanging in for 25 years, I got to meet one of the most evil men.
Wow.
And if I had quit earlier, boy, that would never have happened in my life.
What is it like being a woman in the military? I know you started to talk about that earlier, but
Well,
it is a different life.
yeah.
Even nowadays,
Still
I would
now,
imagine.
yeah. You have to work hard. I had to work harder than a lot of my male peers to be treated equally. I knew that if I made a mistake, that mistake would then be blamed on all women.
Yeah.
We'd all be painted with the same brush.
That's true too. Right,
Yeah.
Right.
The cool thing is, though, as I proved myself, as I commanded, and they kept giving me broken units, and as I turned them around, the respect came.
They had to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right,
And
exactly.
nowadays, women are respected. People don't think twice about working for a woman in the military. I had a young man whose mother said, "What do you mean? You didn't tell me you worked for a woman." He's like, "So what?"
Yeah, right.
And
Good.
that
good.
was
That's
cool.
good. Sure. And what are you doing nowadays? And why did you
Yes.
choose to do the book?
Well, after writing the book, I started traveling around America. Now I'm starting to travel internationally. I speak on leadership
Yeah, okay.
and empowerment, and people are finding that what I learned in the military is relevant in business, in associations, nonprofit. I love it. I watch the light bulb go on
Good.
in people in the audience, and this is what I'm meant to do.
You got some tips for the average everyday person that maybe watches
I
this TV?
do. Let me see.
No, go ahead. It's
There
okay.
is. At the end of the book, I talk
Oh,
about.
good.
I summarize leadership here.
Okay, good.
Leadership in 4 words: mission first, people always.
Okay.
Leadership in 3 words: compassion, confidence, competence. Leadership in 2 words: hope and how. And leadership in 1 word: respect.
Excellent.
You respect first before you expect respect.
Colonel Jill, thank you very much for talking to us here on
thank you.
Salem TV.
Thanks.